Do you know what separates a good man from a monster? The question hangs in the warm cafe air as Alika Johnson bends down to pick up a leather wallet that's just hit the floor. She doesn't know it yet, but her answer to this question will change 3 lives forever. Inside the wallet, tucked behind expired membership cards, she finds a photograph. A woman smiles in the image. A small boy, maybe 5 years old, sits on her lap. She looks up. The man in the charcoal suit is already at the door. "Sir, wait!" He turns. His face carries the kind of calm that comes from learning to hide storms. Lee Min-ho doesn't rush back. He walks with steady purpose, the kind that makes hurried people feel foolish. Winter light slants through the cafe windows, turning the morning soft and cold in Seoul's gleaming business district. "You dropped this," Alika says, holding out the wallet. His hand pauses before taking it. For just a second, something flickers behind his eyes. Recognition, maybe. Or loss. "Thank you." His voice is low, measured. Most people wouldn't bother. She catches sight of something glinting at his collar. A silver necklace, half hidden beneath his shirt. 3 initials engraved on the pendant. JMH. The same initials written on the back of the photograph, she notices. Someone precious, someone lost. "I notice things," she replies, offering a smile that doesn't ask for anything back. He pulls out several bills, at least $100 worth of Korean currency. "Let me thank you properly, no." Her hand goes up gently but firmly. "I don't accept money for doing what's right." Min-ho studies her face. Behind them, the espresso machine hisses. Someone's radio plays old Korean pop music, tinny and nostalgic. "Then you're rare," he says quietly. Alika returns to the counter, and Min-ho takes his usual seat. Corner booth, facing the door, always watching. She brings his order without asking. "Black coffee, no sugar," she says, setting it down. "Same as always?" Min-ho looks at her, something almost vulnerable crossing his expression. "Sugar makes things taste better than they are," he says softly. "I prefer the truth." "Even when it's bitter?" "Especially then." The words carry more weight than a conversation about coffee should bear. He leaves 20 minutes later, newspaper folded under his arm. But he stops on the sidewalk outside, just for a breath. His reflection stares back at him in the cafe glass. A man in a suit, carrying a past too heavy to set down. His thumb brushes the silver necklace at his throat. Young Min-ho. His son's formal name, the one given at birth, engraved where it touches his heart. Some debts, he thinks, can never be paid. Inside, Alika wipes down tables and wonders why a man who seems so composed carries such profound loneliness in his eyes. Rain taps against the apartment window like an old friend asking to come in. Alika unlocks the door, grocery bags pulling at her wrists. The apartment is small, 1 bedroom, a kitchen barely wide enough for 2 people. Walls painted the kind of beige that landlords call neutral and tenants call forgotten. But it's warm. It's home. "I'm here," she calls. Min-jun looks up from the floor, crayons scattered around him like fallen leaves. He's 6 years old, all skinny limbs and eyes that sometimes seem older than his years. "Alika, look what I made." He holds up his drawing. A man in a black suit, standing under a street lamp. The figure is smiling, though the crayon strokes make it look melancholy, like happiness remembered from far away. "That's beautiful, sweetheart." She crouches beside him, setting down the bags. Rain drums steadily outside. "Who is he?" Min-jun studies his own work, head tilted. "I don't know yet," he says quietly. but I see him when I dream sometimes. Alika's chest tightens. In your dreams? He looks like someone who could be a father. Minjun's voice is small, uncertain. Is that weird? She pulls him close, breathing in the scent of crayon wax and children's shampoo. No, baby, that's not weird at all. She met Minjun's mother 3 years ago, both of them waiting tables at the same diner in Itaewon, a neighborhood known for its international community. Soo-yeon was kind, funny, always humming while she worked. She never talked about Minjun's father, never explained why she startled at loud noises or why she sometimes stared at men in business suits with something like fear. When Soo-yeon died in that car accident, Alika didn't hesitate. She took Minjun home, signed the papers, became the only mother he'd remember. No one in her family back in Atlanta understood. You're 24, her sister had said over the phone. You can barely take care of yourself. But Alika knew something her sister didn't. Being brave isn't about being ready. It's about showing up anyway. Hungry? She asks. Minjun nods, already reaching for the instant noodle packets. Outside, rain falls harder. Inside, the kitchen light flickers but holds, and on the floor, half covered by a crayon box, the drawing of the man in the suit stares upward, waiting for someone to recognize him. 3 days later, sunset bleeds orange and pink across Seoul's skyline. The cafe empties slowly, office workers heading home, students packing laptops. Alika wipes down the espresso machine, humming under her breath. Minho sits in his usual corner, but tonight he doesn't leave with the others. When she brings the check, there's an envelope underneath it. What's this? Open it. She does. Inside, $500 in Korean currency, neatly folded, and a note. For Minjun's school expenses. Her hands freeze. How do you know his name? Seoul feels big, but neighborhoods are small. Minho's voice carries something urgent beneath its steadiness. The boy needs things. Let me help. I don't take money from customers. It's not charity. He looks directly at her, sunset light catching his face, turning it golden and sad. It's paying forward a debt I owe to someone who can't collect anymore. Alika sits down across from him, uninvited. The cafe feels suspended in amber light. Who did you owe? Someone who deserved better than what I gave them. His hand moves to his chest, touching the silver necklace through his shirt. Someone who knew how to love without conditions. Sounds like what you're trying to do now. Minho's careful mask cracks slightly. I'm not capable of that kind of love, but I can try to honor it. That sounds like love to me. He stares at her. For a moment, the cafe disappears. Just 2 people in a pocket of light, both carrying losses too heavy to name. I appreciate the gesture, Alika says finally, sliding the envelope back. But I can't accept this. It wouldn't be right. Minho nods slowly, respectfully. You're raising him well. I'm doing my best. That's more than most people manage. She leaves the envelope on the table and walks away. When she glances back, Minho is gone, but the envelope remains, exactly where she left it. A test, maybe, or an offering. That evening, Alika walks Minjun home from the community center, where he takes drawing classes. Neon signs buzz overhead. The streets smell like grilled meat and exhaust, the city settling into its nighttime rhythm. Minjun's hand is warm in hers. She doesn't see the man in the dark coat across the street, half hidden in shadow, but Minho sees them. He watches the way Alika bends down to tie Minjun's shoe, laughing at something the boy says. the way she ruffles his hair, the way Minjun leans into her without hesitation, without fear. Trust, Minho thinks. She's teaching him it's safe to trust again. His chest aches with grief and gratitude twisted together. He spent 4 years searching, 4 years following cold leads, bribing officials, calling in favors from people who owed him blood debts. And here his son is, safe, loved, held by someone who doesn't even know what she's protecting. If I had someone like her, Minho thinks, touching the necklace at his throat, maybe everything would have been different. Maybe Su-yeon would still be alive. Maybe Min-jun would know his father's face. But that life was never meant for him. He turns and disappears into the crowd. Behind him, Alika shivers. She looks over her shoulder, sees nothing but feels the weight of being watched, the ghost of protection following them home. If this story is touching your heart, let me know by leaving a like. And subscribe. There are more stories of love and redemption waiting for you. The knock comes at midnight. Alika wakes to it. 3 heavy thumps that rattle the cheap doorframe, that sound like fists or fate or both. Min-jun stirs in his bed but doesn't wake, too deep in whatever dream he's having. She grabs the baseball bat she keeps by the door, a gift from Mrs. Kim, who worries about a young woman living alone with a child in this neighborhood, and peers through the peephole. Minho leans against the wall, one hand pressed to his side, face pale in the hallway's fluorescent light. She throws the door open. What happened? Wrong place, wrong time. His words come tight, breathed through clenched teeth, each syllable costing him. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. I didn't know where else. His white shirt is soaked dark with blood. Rain drips from his hair. His coat pools at his feet in a red-tinged puddle that makes Alika's stomach drop. She doesn't think. She grabs his arm, pulls him inside, locks the door, guides him to the kitchen chair. Her hands move on instinct, on the knowledge bone deep in her from years of taking care of people. Clean towel, warm water, the first aid kit she keeps stocked, because Min-jun is 6 and 6-year-olds find creative ways to bleed. But this isn't a scraped knee. This is serious. Take off your jacket. Minho obeys, movements slow and careful. The vest underneath is drenched through, sticky and warm and smelling like copper and fear. This needs a hospital, Alika says, her voice shaking but her hands steady. Hands know things brains don't. Hands remember. I can't go to one. She looks at him, really looks, and understands. This is a man who's learned hospitals mean questions. Questions mean police. Police mean consequences for things she probably doesn't want to know about. Then don't move, and don't you dare die on my kitchen floor. I just mopped. The joke is weak, but it makes him almost smile. Almost. She's not a nurse, but she grew up with 3 brothers and a mother who couldn't afford emergency rooms every time someone split their head open or caught a knife wrong or came home bleeding from fights they shouldn't have been in. She knows enough to be dangerous, enough to maybe help. The needle shakes in her hand as she threads it. She's done this before, stitched up her brother Marcus after he got cut in a bar fight, sewn her own hand after a kitchen accident her mother never knew about. But this is different. This is someone she's starting to care about. This is blood that matters. You don't have to do this, Minho says quietly, watching her hands tremble. Be quiet and let me work. The first stitch goes in. He doesn't flinch, doesn't make a sound, just breathe slowly through his nose. The rain hammers the window like it's trying to get in. The apartment feels smaller, warmer, intimate in a way that has everything to do with trust and vulnerability, and nothing to do with romance. Not yet, anyway. "You're skilled at this," Minho observes, his voice tight but impressed. "I'm good at a lot of things people underestimate." A ghost of a smile touches his mouth. "I've noticed." She works in silence for a while, the only sounds the rain and their breathing and the soft pull of thread through skin. It's grotesque and beautiful in equal measure, this act of mending, of putting broken things back together. "Who did this?" she asks finally. "Old business. Nothing you need to worry about. If you show up bleeding at my door at midnight, I'm already involved." "You're not really. I made sure of that." He winces as she ties off a stitch. "I've been careful. No one followed me. No one knows about you or the boy." The way he says "the boy" makes her pause. There's something in his voice, possession maybe, or longing, or both. "How do you know so much about my life?" "I pay attention." That's not an answer. It's the only one I can give you right now. She ties off the thread, cuts it, sits back. Her hands are shaking now, adrenaline finally catching up with the moment. Blood stains her fingers, his blood, warm and real and human. Proof that even dangerous men can bleed. "You need antibiotics," she says, "and probably about 12 hours of sleep." "I'll manage." "You always manage, don't you?" She stands, moves to the sink, washes blood from her hands. The water runs pink, then red, then clear again. "You always handle everything alone." "It's safer that way." "Safer for who?" Minho doesn't answer, which is answer enough. Alika turns to face him, leaning against the counter, arms crossed. Outside, somewhere in the building, someone's television plays a late-night drama, muffled voices rising and falling like waves. "Most people would be afraid right now," Minho says quietly. Not a question, an observation, a test maybe. "Should I be?" "Yes, if you knew what I was, what I've done." "I know you're dangerous. I'm not stupid." She meets his eyes. "But I also know you're not someone who hurts the innocent. People who hurt the innocent don't look at children the way you look at Minjun." Minho goes completely still. The air in the kitchen changes, charges with something electric and frightening. "How long have you known?" "That you watch us. About 2 weeks." She keeps her voice gentle, non-accusatory. "I saw you at the community center, then again at the market, then yesterday, across the street when we were walking home." "You should have called the police." "Should I have?" She tilts her head. "You haven't done anything threatening, you just watch, like someone looking at something they can't have." For the first time since she's known him, Minho's careful control shatters completely. His face crumples, and tears track down his cheeks, silent and devastating. "I did lose something irreplaceable," he whispers, "and I don't know if I'll ever get it back. I don't know if I deserve to." Alika moves without thinking, sits down across from him, takes his hands in hers. They're cold now, trembling slightly. The hands of a man coming apart at the seams. "Then tell me," she says, "tell me what you lost." Minho closes his eyes. When he opens them, they're full of something that looks like surrender. "Soon," he says. "I'll tell you everything soon, I promise, but not tonight. Tonight, I just need—" He trails off, lost. "To be human," Alika finishes softly. "To not be alone with it?" "Yes." She makes tea, nothing fancy, just the cheap green tea she buys at the corner store, and they sit in silence while he drinks it. His hands wrap around the cup like it's the only warm thing in the world. "Thank you," he says after a long while. "For what?" "For not turning me away, for helping even though you shouldn't, for being—" He pauses, searching for the right word. "Kind, even to people who probably don't deserve kindness." "Everyone deserves kindness," Aleka says firmly. "That's not negotiable." She lets him leave an hour later, his jacket folded to hide the bandages, a bottle of leftover antibiotics from her own prescription stuffed in his pocket. At the door, he stops. "I meant what I said earlier, at the cafe, about the debt. I know you did. If you ever need anything, I know." She touches his arm gently. "But next time you need help, try not to show up bleeding. It's bad for my nerves." He almost laughs. "I'll try." He's gone before she can say anything else. Alika locks the door, leans against it, realizes her hands are still trembling. Not from fear, from something else entirely. Something that feels dangerously close to caring too much about a man she barely knows. A man with secrets that could probably swallow her whole if she's not careful. But then again, she's never been particularly good at being careful. That's why she left Atlanta. That's why she's here, raising someone else's child, building a life from nothing but stubbornness and hope. Maybe that's why she can recognize the same thing in him, the stubbornness, the hope, the desperate attempt to build something good from the wreckage of whatever came before. She checks on Minjun. He's still asleep, one arm thrown over his head, the other clutching the stuffed bear she bought him last Christmas. Peaceful, safe, unaware that his entire world is about to shift on its axis. Please, she thinks, directing the prayer to whoever might be listening. Please let this man be who I think he is, not who I'm afraid he might be. But prayers don't always get answered the way we want them to. Sometimes they get answered in blood and revelation, and the terrible knowledge that the people we're starting to love come with costs we never agreed to pay. The cafe television is on when Aleka arrives for her morning shift. She's not paying attention, wiping down tables, humming, thinking about the way Minho's voice sounded last night. Broken and real and human in ways that made her chest ache. Wondering if he made it home safely. Wondering if infection has set in. Wondering why she cares so damn much about a man she's known for less than a month. Then she hears his name. Lee Min-ho, former mafia lieutenant, believed to have led the Dragon District reorganization 5 years ago, has reportedly returned to Seoul. Authorities are investigating. The cloth falls from her hand. On the screen, Minho's face stares out. Not the quiet man from the cafe, not the bleeding stranger at her door. This version wears a sharp suit, flanked by men whose eyes have gone cold from seeing too much and feeling too little. This version looks like someone who's forgotten how to feel, or learned to stop. The word burns across the bottom of the screen. Organized crime figure. Alika's blood turns to ice. Her vision tunnels. The cafe spins. Mafia. She thinks of Minjun's drawings, the man in the suit, the sad eyes her boy somehow recognized without ever meeting. The way Minho watches them with something like hunger and grief twisted together. Her hands move before her mind catches up. She tells Mrs. Kim she's sick. Not a lie. She feels like she might actually throw up and runs. Mrs. Kim had mentioned once that Minho lived in the tower building 3 blocks away. The expensive one with the doorman who's probably paid very well to never ask questions. Alika had filed it away without thinking, the way you file away useless information. Now it's the only information that matters. The building is everything she expected. Glass and steel and the kind of cold perfection that money buys. The doorman looks at her like she's lost, but she walks with enough purpose that he doesn't stop her. Sometimes confidence is the only key you need. Minho's apartment is on the 20th floor. She finds the door unlocked, careless, or maybe he knew she'd come. Maybe part of him wanted to be found out. Wanted this conversation forced upon him. Inside, everything is cold. Expensive furniture barely used. Abstract art on walls that have never heard laughter or argument, or the messy sounds of actual living. It's the home of someone who sleeps here but doesn't live here. Someone who's forgotten the difference. And on the dining table, files, dozens of them. Maps marked in red pen. Photographs paper-clipped to hospital records. Orphanage intake forms. School registrations. Dental records, everything. Children's faces stare up at her. Different ages, different places, all marked with handwritten notes. Wrong age, wrong location, different mother. Not him, not him, not him. But one face repeats, over and over. A obsession captured in photographs and documents. Minjun, age 3, captured in a surveillance photo from a playground she recognizes. Age 4, on a swing at the park near their old apartment. Age 5, walking with Soo-yeon down a familiar street, his hand in his mother's, both of them looking over their shoulders like they're being chased. Because they were. Of course they were. Her vision tunnels. Her knees weaken. She grabs the table to stay upright. It's not what you think. She whirls. Minho stands in the doorway, wearing yesterday's bandages under a fresh shirt. He looks exhausted, haunted, like a man who hasn't slept in days or years or maybe ever. Then what is it? Her voice cracks like breaking glass. You've been tracking him? Tracking us? All this time? Searching. Minho corrects quietly. Not tracking, searching. For what? For my son. The words land like a physical blow. Alika's knees give out. She sits down hard in one of the expensive chairs that have never been sat in this expensive apartment that's never been lived in. No, Minjun's mother was Soo-yeon. She told me his father was dead. Minho finishes, his voice hollow. That's what she wanted him to believe. What she wanted everyone to believe. It was safer that way. He moves closer, slowly, like approaching something wounded. Soo-yeon was my wife. We married young. Too young. I was already deep in the organization. She begged me to leave. I promised I would. He closes his eyes. I lied. His voice breaks on the last word, shatters into pieces. I told myself I'd leave after one more job, one more year, one more promotion, always one more. I kept promising and breaking promises until the promises meant nothing anymore. He sits down across from her, exhausted. When Minjun was 3, she took him and disappeared. I didn't blame her. I looked for them, not to bring them back, just to know they were safe. Then I heard about the accident. His voice cracks completely. I found her grave, put flowers on it, apologized to a headstone because I was too cowardly to apologize when she was alive. But there was no record of Minjun, no death certificate, no burial plot next to his mother, just gone like he'd never existed. Elisa's hands are shaking. You're lying. I wish I was. Minho pulls a photograph from his pocket, worn soft from being carried, edges frayed from being touched too many times. A younger version of himself stands beside Soo-yeon at what looks like a temple wedding. She's laughing, arms around a toddler with serious eyes. Min-jun's eyes, no mistaking them. She was protecting him, Minho whispers, staring at the photograph like it's both treasure and torture. From me, from what I am, from the men I work with and the enemies I've made, and the violence that follows me like a shadow. He sets the photograph on the table with trembling hands. And she was right to do it. She was right about everything. But you kept searching. 4 years, every day, every resource I had. He gestures at the files spread across the table. I hired private investigators, bribed officials, called in every favor I was owed. Threatened people who shouldn't be threatened. I became the exact thing she was running from, all in the name of finding what she was trying to protect. He laughs, but it's bitter, broken. The irony isn't lost on me. The apartment falls silent except for the distant hum of traffic 20 floors below. Seoul spreads out beyond the windows like a sea of lights, millions of people living their lives, unaware of the small tragedy playing out in this sterile apartment. When did you find him? 6 weeks ago. I was following a lead in Itaewon. Someone said they'd seen a foreign woman with a Korean child. I went to the neighborhood, started asking questions. He closes his eyes, remembering. And then I saw you, coming out of that cafe, holding his hand, and I knew. I just knew. Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you? Because he was happy, Minho says simply. For the first time since I'd seen any evidence of him, he was smiling, really smiling. The kind of smile kids have when they feel safe. His tears fall freely now. How could I destroy that? How could I walk into his life and say, "Hello, I'm your father, the criminal your mother died trying to protect you from"? Alika sits in stunned silence, trying to reorganize her entire understanding of the past month. Every conversation, every look, every moment. The envelope, she says numbly. The money, that's why. I wanted to help without destroying what she built, what you built. He looks at her directly. You gave him what I never could, safety, love, the chance to be a child instead of a liability. Does he know? No. The word is firm, final, desperate. And he doesn't have to, ever. I just wanted to see him, to know he's okay, to watch him from a distance, and he trails off, lost. And what? And maybe feel like I was doing one decent thing, protecting him, even if protecting him means staying away. Alika's mind races, Min-jun's dreams, the drawings, the man in the suit he'd never met but somehow recognized. He draws you, she says quietly. Did you know that? He draws a man in a suit standing under streetlights. He says he sees you in his dreams. Minho's face crumples. That's not possible. He was 3 when she took him. He can't remember. Maybe some things run deeper than memory. Alika wipes her eyes, not sure when she started crying. Maybe some connections can't be broken, even by time and distance and everything else. They sit in silence for a long while. Outside, Seoul continues its eternal movement. People going to work, coming home, falling in love, falling apart, living the messy, complicated, beautiful lives that make up a city. I need to leave, Alika finally whispers. I understand. She's at the door when she stops, doesn't turn around, can't look at him. Was any of it real? The cafe, the conversations, the way you looked at me? Minho's answer comes quiet, devastated, honest. All of it was real, every moment. You're the first person in years who made me think I might be more than the worst things I've done. The door clicks shut behind her. Minho stands alone in his expensive, empty apartment, surrounded by 4 years of searching and a lifetime of regret. On the table, files scatter in a sudden breeze from the air conditioning. Minjun's face stares up from a dozen photographs, different ages, different places, but always the same serious eyes, always watching, always waiting, always wondering where his father went and why he never came back. I'm sorry, Minho thinks, touching each photograph like a prayer. I'm so sorry I became the thing she had to run from. I'm sorry I'm not the father you deserved. I'm sorry. But apologies don't change the past. They just make the present harder to bear. He sinks to the floor, back against the expensive couch he's never sat on, and lets himself break completely. Because sometimes that's all that's left. Breaking, and hoping that somehow eventually the pieces might arrange themselves into something new, something better, something that might deserve the family he lost. 3 days of silence, 3 days where Alika doesn't go to the cafe, doesn't answer when Mrs. Kim calls worried, doesn't leave the apartment except to take Minjun to school and pick him up again. 3 days of watching her boy play and draw and laugh, all while knowing that his entire identity is built on a lie, that his father isn't dead, that the man in the suit from his dreams is real, that everything is about to change, and she doesn't know how to protect him from it. Minjun notices, of course. Children always notice more than adults give them credit for. Are you sad? He asks on the 3rd evening, looking up from his dinner. Just tired, sweetheart. Is it because of the man? Her blood runs cold. What man? The man from the cafe, the one who watches us sometimes. Minjun says it casually, like he's discussing the weather. Is he the one making you sad? Alika sets down her fork carefully. You've seen him watching us? Sometimes. He stands far away, like he's scared to come closer, like in my dreams. Minjun tilts his head. Is he my dad? The question hangs in the air like smoke. Before Alika can answer, before she can even begin to figure out how to answer, her phone rings. Unknown number. She almost doesn't pick up, but something, instinct or fate, or the universe tilting toward disaster, makes her press accept. Hello? Silence, then breathing, small, frightened breathing that makes her heart stop. Alika? Minjun's voice comes through the phone, tiny and terrified. But Minjun is sitting right in front of her, fork still in his hand, looking confused. Then she realizes she's hearing a recording. Or she looks at Minjun. He's pushing back from the table, dropping his fork, eyes wide with fear. Alika, there's men here and the phone is ripped away from the other Minjun. No, not the other. A recording. This is happening now, right now. But Minjun she spins. The apartment door explodes inward. 2 men in dark clothes move fast, professional. One grabs Minjun before he can scream. The other points a gun at Alika. Don't, the gunman says simply. Minjun struggles, tries to cry out. The man holding him clamps a hand over his mouth. A 3rd man enters, older, with the kind of face that's forgotten how to smile genuinely. He looks at Alika with something like pity. Tell Lee Min-ho we have his son. He knows what we want. He has 2 hours. They're gone in 30 seconds. Professional. Clean. Like they've done this before. Alika's hands won't stop shaking. The apartment is suddenly too quiet, too empty, too full of the absence of a child who was here just moments ago. She dials Minho's number with trembling fingers. He answers on the first ring, like he was waiting, like he knew. They have him. The words tear out of her. They broke in. They took Minjun. They said you'd know what they want. Where are you? Home. They just left. They said. Her voice breaks. They said you have 2 hours. Lock the doors. Stay there. I'm coming. Min-ho. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have. His voice cracks. I'll get him back. I promise. I'll get him back or die trying. The line goes dead. Alika sinks to the floor, back against the wall, and stares at Minjun's abandoned dinner. The fork he dropped, the water glass still half full. Evidence of a normal evening. Evidence that vanishes like smoke when the world tilts sideways. She doesn't know how long she sits there. Could be minutes, could be hours. Time does strange things when you're in shock. The knock at the door makes her jump. Min-ho stands there, but this time he's not wearing a cafe suit. Black tactical clothing, expression carved from stone, a weapon visible at his hip. The transformation is complete. This is not a salaryman. This is not someone who reads newspapers over coffee. This is the man the news warned about. The organized crime figure who once controlled territory across Seoul. And he looks ready to burn the world down to get his son back. Who? Alika demands, her voice raw. Bang Yusik. Minho's voice is dead calm in the way that precedes violence. My former second in command. He wants me back in the organization, or he wants me dead. Either works for him. What do we do? You stay here. I'll bring him back. Alika grabs his arm. No, this isn't your world. He's my son. The words explode out of her, primal and fierce. I don't care whose blood is in his veins. I'm the one who held him through nightmares. I'm the one who taught him to read. I'm the one who's been there every single day for 3 years. You don't get to shut me out now. Minho stops, really looks at her. Something shifts in his expression. Recognition, maybe. Understanding that this woman is every bit as dangerous as he is when it comes to protecting what she loves. You're braver than anyone I've ever commanded, he says quietly. I'm a mother. It's the same thing. He almost smiles. Almost. Then stay close. Do exactly what I say. His hand finds hers, grips hard enough to hurt. And if things go wrong, you run. You take Minjun and you disappear. You go back to America. You change your names. You forget we ever existed. Promise me. Are you planning to kill them? Minho's expression doesn't change. No, I'm just asking for the one thing power can't buy. What's that? A chance. His voice drops to a whisper. A chance to be the father he deserves. Even if it's only for one day. Even if it costs me everything. Alika's anger cracks, revealing the fear underneath. The understanding that this man is willing to die for a son he barely knows. Then come back, she says fiercely. Both of you. You hear me? Minho pulls her close, just for a second, just long enough to press his forehead to hers. He smells like rain and determination and the sharp scent of fear poorly hidden. If I don't make it, he whispers against her skin. Tell him I searched every day. Tell him he was loved, always, even from a distance. Tell him. His voice breaks. Tell him his father was sorry for everything. Tell him yourself, Alika demands, pulling back to look him in the eye. You survive this. You come back, and you be the father he's been dreaming about. Minho nods once, sharp, final. Together, they walk out into the night. Behind them, Minjun's drawings scatter across the apartment floor, crayon men in suits, all of them smiling, all of them waiting to be found. The warehouse squats on Seoul's industrial edge like a broken tooth, rusted metal, shattered windows, the smell of oil and old violence and forgotten things left to rot. Inside, Minjun sits on a metal chair, hands tied with plastic restraints that bite into his wrists. His eyes are red from crying, but he's not making sound anymore. He learned that lesson fast. Crying brings attention. Attention brings pain. Bang Yu-sik paces in front of him, phone in hand, grinning like a man who's already won. He's younger than Minho, maybe early 30s, with the kind of hardness that comes from climbing over bodies to reach power. Your daddy's coming, he tells the boy, voice cruel in its cheerfulness. And when he gets here, you're going to learn what kind of man he really is. What kind of monster raised you, what your mother was so scared of. Minjun says nothing, but in his head he thinks of Alika. The way she sings while cooking ramen, off-key but enthusiastic. The way she calls him sweetheart, even though he told her he's too old for that now. The way she never ever gave up on him, even when things got hard. She'll come, he thinks, holding on to the thought like a lifeline. She always comes. She always keeps me safe. He doesn't think about the father he's never met. Doesn't let himself hope for rescue from a ghost. But somewhere deep in his chest, something whispers, soon. He's coming soon. The front door explodes inward in a shower of splinters and rust and the violence of forced entry. Minho walks through the smoke like an avenging angel, weapon drawn, face empty of everything except cold, lethal purpose. This is the man he spent years trying not to be. The man Soo-yeon ran from. The man he swore he'd leave behind. But some transformations can be reversed when the stakes are high enough. Some monsters can be put back on when the people you love need them. Yu-sik, the traitor, laughs high and manic, the laugh of someone who's forgotten what fear feels like. There's the boss I remember, not that pathetic cafe-sitting coward you've been playing. Where's the cold man who built an empire? There he is. Let the boy go. Your issue is with me. The boy is the issue. Yu-sik gestures, and two of his men grab Minjun, one pressing a knife to his small throat, just hard enough to dimple the skin. You went soft, started asking questions about getting out, started caring about things, about people. You think the organization runs on caring? The organization runs on loyalty, Minho says coldly, his voice the one he used in meetings where life and death were decided over tea. You forgot that. I remember power. Yu-sik raises his weapon, aims it at Minho's chest, and power says, "Put your gun down, now, or I hurt him right here and you watch, and then I kill you anyway. But at least you'll die knowing you failed him, just like you failed his mother." Minho's hand doesn't waver. His eyes track every man in the warehouse, 7 total, all armed, all positioned. He calculates angles, distances, probabilities, counts bullets and exit routes and the cost of each potential choice. Then his gaze lands on Minjun. For the first time, father and son truly see each other. Not through photographs, not across a street, not in dreams, but here, now. Face to face in a moment neither of them wanted, but both of them needed. Minjun stops breathing. Because those eyes, he knows those eyes. He's drawn those eyes 1,000 times in crayon and pencil and charcoal, in dreams that felt like memories from a life he couldn't quite reach. The man in the suit, the one who always looked sad, the one who stood on the other side of the window, watching, waiting, unable to come closer. Dad, the word forms in his mind, but doesn't make it to his mouth. But Minho sees it anyway, sees the recognition, the question, the desperate fragile hope that maybe, finally, someone's come to save him. Minho's expression cracks, just for a second, just enough to be human. He lowers his weapon, sets it on the floor. The clatter echoes in the warehouse, like a final confession. Good, Usik's grin widens. Now kneel, like the dog you've become. Release him first. You're not making demands. A bottle shatters against Usik's head. Everyone spins. Alika stands in the side entrance, another bottle already in hand, fury written across her face like a war declaration. She's not tactical. She's not trained, but she's a mother, and that makes her more dangerous than any soldier. Get your hands off my son! Chaos erupts. Minho lunges for his weapon. Usik's men scatter, reaching for theirs. Alika runs toward Minjun, and one of the thugs swings at her. But she's faster. Growing up with 3 brothers teaches you things. How to duck, how to weave, how to turn someone's momentum against them. She slides under his arm, grabs Minjun's chair, and tips it backward, rolling the boy away from the knife. Run, she screams, her voice raw with terror and determination in equal measure. Minjun's hands are still bound, but he runs, stumbles, falls, gets back up, runs again. Gunfire cracks the air, like the world breaking. Minho fires twice, both shots precise, surgical, the muscle memory of years returning like breathing. 2 men drop, but Usik is already aiming, not at Minho, at Minjun, at the running child who finally has a chance to escape. Time distorts, slows. Minho sees it happening frame by frame, the trajectory, the angle, the physics of death in motion. His son is running straight into the bullet's path. The universe offers him a choice: save himself or save the boy. Some choices aren't choices at all. Minho throws himself forward. His body becomes a shield. The bullet hits him like divine punishment. Fire spreads through his chest. His vision blurs. His knees buckle. But he's between his son and death now. Finally doing the one thing that matters. Finally being the father he should have been all along. Dad, Minjun's voice breaks, raw and terrified, and full of a recognition that goes bone deep. Dad, Minho goes down hard. The concrete is cold against his back. Distant sirens wail. Alika must have called them, must have planned ahead. Red and blue lights flash through broken windows like emergency prayers. Alika is there instantly, her hands pressing against the wound, blood hot and insistent between her fingers. She's crying, screaming for help, pressing down with all her weight like she can hold his life, inside him through sheer force of will. Minjun kneels beside her, sobbing, his small hands touching his father's face for the first time, touching the reality of the man he's only known in dreams. Stay with me. Alisa's voice cracks. Don't you dare die. Not now. Not when we just found you. Minho's hand finds Minjun's cheek, touches his son's face. The skin is soft, warm, wet with tears, real, finally real. You're safe, he whispers, each word costing him everything. Blood in his mouth, fire in his chest, but none of it matters. Only this matters. That's all that matters. Don't leave, Minjun sobs, his voice breaking into pieces. Please don't leave. I just found you. You can't leave now. I'm not leaving. Minho's voice is fading, but his eyes are clear, fixed on his son's face like it's the only thing in the world worth seeing. I'll always be here. Always, I promise. Son. Minho's fingers tremble against Minjun's tear-stained face. Call me Dad. Just once. Please. I need to hear it. Just once. Minjun's voice breaks completely, shatters into something raw and true and devastating. Dad, Dad, please, don't go. Stay. Please stay. Minho smiles. It's soft, peaceful, the smile of a man who's finally done the one thing that matters. The one thing that makes everything else worth it. There you are, he breathes, the words barely audible. There's my boy, my son, finally. His eyes close. Alika screams for the paramedics. Her voice tears through the warehouse, through the night, through the universe itself, demanding that someone, somewhere, save this man who just learned how to be human. The warehouse fills with sirens, with shouting, with medics rushing in, and police securing the scene and the world crashing back into focus. But in the quiet space between heartbeats, between life and death, between what was and what might still be, a father has finally heard his son call him home. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough to make him fight his way back. The sign above the cafe door reads Min's Place in English and Korean script both. Inside, morning light slants through windows, turning dust to gold. The espresso machine hisses its familiar rhythm. Someone's order comes up, 2 coffees and a hot chocolate. Alika carries the tray to the corner booth. 1 black coffee, no sugar, she says, setting down the first cup. 1 with sugar and hot chocolate for the artist. Minjun looks up from his sketchbook, grinning. He's 7 now, taller, but still slender and thoughtful. The scar on his wrist from the plastic restraints has faded to silver. He doesn't draw lonely men anymore. Now he draws families, mothers and fathers and children, always together, always safe. Thanks, Alika, he says. You're welcome, sweetheart. I'm getting too old for that. You'll never be too old. She ruffles his hair. Some habits are too precious to break. The cafe door opens. A man enters, moving slowly, carefully. He wears a simple sweater and jeans, no suit. His hair is graying at the temples, and he walks with a slight limp. The bullet-damaged nerves that will never fully heal. Minho slides into the booth across from Minjun. Drawing again? Always. Minjun turns the sketchbook. Look, it's us. The drawing shows 3 figures under a street lamp. A woman with kind eyes, a boy holding a crayon, a man with his hand on the boy's shoulder. A family, imperfect, real. Minho's throat tightens. Even after a year, some moments still hit like the first time. It's perfect, he says quietly. Alika sets down his coffee and steals a quick kiss. Brief, warm, full of promises they've learned to keep. The kind of love that's earned through showing up, day after day, especially when it's hard. The doctors said he was lucky. The bullet missed his heart by centimeters. 6 weeks in the hospital, 3 months learning to walk again. A year of testimony that helped dismantle the criminal organization from within. He's not a boss anymore, not hiding, not pretending. He's just a father learning how to be present, learning how to deserve the second chance he was given. It's harder than anything he's ever done, and worth more. Dad, Minjun says suddenly, can we go to the park later? I want to draw the trees. Minho's chest aches, but it's a good ache, the kind that means you're alive, that you matter to someone. Yeah, he says, we can do that. Alika catches his eye across the cafe. She's smiling, that same smile that made him believe, a year ago in a warehouse full of chaos, that maybe redemption was real, that maybe love wasn't just for people who deserved it. Maybe it was for people brave enough to accept it. The morning passes in small, unremarkable moments, coffee orders, quiet conversations. Minjun humming while he draws. Around noon, Alika steps outside briefly. When she returns, there's an envelope on the counter. She picks it up, frowning. Inside, money, at least $100 worth, and a note in unfamiliar handwriting. Keep it, for doing what's right. Her breath catches. She looks toward the door but sees no one. What's wrong? Minho asks, noticing her expression. Alika shows him the envelope. His face goes still. He stands, moves to the window, scans the street outside. A man in a dark coat stands across the road, older, military bearing. He meets Minho's eyes through the glass and nods once, respectful, final. Minho recognizes him, his former bodyguard, the one who helped him escape the warehouse before the police arrived, the one who disappeared afterward, keeping Minho's secrets safe. The man in the dark coat turns and walks away. Morning light swallows him whole. Minho returns to the counter, touches the envelope with trembling fingers. Who was that? Alika asks softly. Someone who remembered, Minho says. Someone paying forward what I once taught him. What did you teach him? That power means nothing if you can't protect what truly matters. Alika slides the envelope back to him. Then use it for Minjun, for his education. Minho looks at her, this woman who saved his son, who saved him, who built a home from the wreckage of his past. I love you, he says. Simple, true, the first time he said it aloud. Alika's eyes shine. I know. How long have you known? Since the night you took that bullet, she says. Because you showed up, you stayed. That's what love is. He pulls her close, presses his forehead to hers. Outside, soul moves around them, endless, chaotic, indifferent. Inside this small cafe, they've built something that can't be broken by the past. Minjun looks up from his drawing. Are you guys being romantic again? Extremely romantic, Alaka confirms. Gross, but he's grinning. The cafe door chimes, new customers arrive. Life continues in its small, precious rhythms. And on the counter, the envelope sits like a blessing. A full circle moment. Proof that kindness echoes forward through time, changing hands, changing lives. The man who once paid for his mistakes with blood has learned to pay them forward with love instead. And that, in the end, is the only redemption that truly matters. Power can make people afraid, but love, real, earned, hard-won love, makes people brave. It asks us to show up when hiding feels safer, to trust when we've been broken, to build something new from the fragments of who we used to be. Alika learned that bravery isn't about being fearless. It's about being terrified and choosing love anyway. About opening your door at midnight to someone bleeding. about believing that people can change even when evidence suggests otherwise. Minho learned that strength isn't about control. It's about surrender to vulnerability, to connection, to being fully known in all your brokenness, about letting go of power that makes people fear you and embracing the love that makes them stay. And Min-jun learned that family isn't about blood or papers, or who held you first. It's about who stays, who shows up, who chooses you every single day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. The cafe closes at sunset. Alika flips the sign to closed, but the lights stay warm and golden, visible from the street. A beacon for lost people have finding their way home. A promise that broken things can be mended, that lost things can be found, that even the darkest histories can give way to bright futures. Home isn't a place, it's a choice. It's people deciding every day to build something together. And they've chosen each other, again and again, through blood and fear and transformation. That's the most inspirational truth of all. We're all worthy of love and redemption, even when we don't believe it, even when the evidence against us seems overwhelming, even when we've become things we swore we'd never be. That's the most motivational lesson we can learn, that it's never too late to become who we were meant to be, to choose differently, to love better, to come home to the people who've been waiting for us, holding the door open, keeping the light on. Some journeys take us across the world, others take us across the street to a cafe where someone sees us clearly and loves us anyway. Both kinds of journeys matter. Both kinds lead us home. If this story touched your heart, subscribe for more inspirational stories that prove love is always worth the risk and redemption is always possible. Leave a comment and tell me, what does home mean to you? What act of bravery changed your life? Who did you think you'd never become? Thank you for spending this hour with me. Until next time, remember, the bravest thing we can do is let ourselves be loved exactly as we are. And the second bravest thing, choosing to love in return.